Difference in strategy between using a newsletter versus a blog. So do newsletters go to all of the email list? Does a new blog post go to all of the email list? What is the difference between them and when you would use one versus the other? This is something that causes people a whole lot of confusion. Up until the newsletter product was released, most people were sending out their newsletters as a broadcast email once a week. If you were incredibly organized, maybe you have an evergreen sequence that is essentially a newsletter going out once a week. But for most people, it was a broadcast that they were creating and sending out weekly. Then, if you're doing that, you would have to then copy that from the email into your blog if you wanted to have it also on your blog. So it's just that extra step of taking content from one place and putting it into another. And I sometimes would get very lazy. The amount of draft blog posts I have on my blog is quite frankly embarrassing because I've got kind of the raw content that I've put in there, but I haven't taken the raw content and cleaned it up properly for the blog. One day, that if I get really inspired, I might go back through those probably 50 blog posts where I've taken my newsletter and I've dumped it, and then I haven't reorganized it. And that is why I love newsletters, because when you do a newsletter, you're essentially sending the equivalent of a broadcast email, and it is creating the web version, like the blog version, at the same time. So when you create one, it's creating both for you. It's not called blog, it's called newsletter, but it's essentially serving the same purpose. You can have SEO on your newsletter post the same way that you can have SEO on a blog post. And when you send it, you can choose. Some could be just email, some could be just web, or you can choose both. So you've got flexibility. So if I was starting something from scratch now, I would start newsletter. I have been trying to decide whether I can be bothered, for want of a better word, to transition my blog into a newsletter, or I just kind of keep doing it. So I've toyed around with it. For the moment, I just have the blog, which doesn't even have any new things on there because I've been too lazy to turn the emails into blog posts, or whether I just start something new from scratch and be like, all right, I'm going to start this from scratch, and then all new things are going to go into the newsletter. But if you, for this is for your new business, Katrina, I would 100% start with a newsletter product, because I feel like just having them, especially now because the newsletter product allows you to have a nicer formatting within the email that goes out. It essentially means you can create like a template the same as you can with email templates so that it looks nicer. Do make sure to SEO optimize those newsletter posts to make sure that they have the best chance of getting found if you are replacing it with a blog, because the main job of a blog is to have relevant, helpful content that can be found in search. So I would just be making sure that you're using the SEO functions of it to really get the best benefit out of it. Now, the newsletters do not go to your entire email list. You will need to get people to subscribe to your newsletter list. So the newsletter is separate. So essentially you create a newsletter form and people subscribe to it. You can sign everyone up on your email list to your newsletter. I would advise letting them know that you've done that and saying, hey, this is, you're now subscribed to the blah, blah, blah newsletter. It's going out every week, or whatever the case is. So you can, in your settings, subscribe people to it. But I would suggest, especially if this is a new thing, that you just are really directing people throughout your site. Now, this is the great thing about newsletters. Let me show you this. So the form that is created when you create a newsletter product is just like a regular stock standard form. So that form here could be put anywhere else on your site as well. So you can add the same form to a pop-up. You can add the same form to your homepage. So even though this is your newsletters form, and the newsletter is really going to prompt you, like when you go into the newsletter product, it's going to create the form for you. This is my newsletter that I started that still embarrassingly only has one post because I got overwhelmed by life. So this is going to have on here, go down the bottom, it's going to add these kind of blocks for the subscribe, but that's not the only place that you can add them. This is essentially just putting that form on the page. So this form here in this section is, actually maybe I need to go into here. customize pages. So let's go newsletter sign up page. So this page is going to be created automatically. But what it's doing is it's creating it automatically and adding the newsletter form to that page automatically. So this is essentially just the newsletter form, even though you can't see that it's the form. But this form is this, what I just showed you before, in your marketing settings and forms. So you can then put that form anywhere else that you want throughout your site. So it doesn't have to just only go on those newsletter pages. So you just need to then connect the form just like you would with any other opt-in form throughout your site. So just change that to, something you can always just come in and make that like newsletter in big capital letters so it's easy to find in a drop-down list. But that way, you can really be promoting people to get onto your newsletter list. I think there has been a real shift over the last, year or two, especially. It's sort of been a growing like uprising where a lot of people are really using newsletters instead of just stock standard freebies. And I think it's because of Substack and Beehive and all those other newsletter. Like in the past, people have gone, oh, you have to have a freebie or you have to have something of value. Whereas I think now, if you've got a really powerful newsletter, like that is the freebie. And the value of it is that you're getting people to sign up to specifically get your emails, not download a PDF and then you just happen to send them emails. So the intentionality of it is really nice. So that's one of the reasons why I really like newsletters, because you're basically saying, sign up to this and I'm going to send you, a helpful email every week or whatever your cadence is. So that's the difference. You could have both. Some people do. Like I'm in this limbo land where I have my old blog and I'm like, newsletter. So I'm just deciding whether I just start something new and then pretty much put all content onto the newsletter going forward and just let my old blog posts sit there. There's no perfect answer situation, but that is what I would be using a newsletter for going forward. It's just workflow wise, I really love not having to do two things.